Planet Dolan.
From humping a teacher to purposely falling out of a tree, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the weirdest things we've done to impress a crush. I'm Melissa, and today, I'll be your narrator. Number 10 was submitted by BLUENOVA. When MKLM was in his first year of high school, he went on a field trip with the whole class. He already started noticing a girl in his class, so he thought he could impress her with something that hurts him because she would laugh if he hurt himself. MKLM and his crush were in a tree with a few other people, and he thought,
she would probably laugh if I fell.
So he did. The fall was not that high, as it was around 2 to 3 meters. She laughed, then called him an idiot. MKLM was still happy that she laughed, even though they never got together. Number 9 was submitted by MishaMedved. In Legna's global history class, his class had a group project where the teacher would dress up as a civilization-destroying god, and they had to prove their ancient civilization was best, and why they deserved to live. Well, Legna had a crush on this one girl for 3 years, and she mentioned how funny it would be if someone could make the teacher crack and break character. Since Legna's group had Greece, he dressed up as a Spartan warrior, and when it was their turn to present, he kicked over a desk and screeched,
"This is Sparta!"
They got a mediocre score on the project, and their teacher just barely smirked. Legna and the girl did end up dating for a year, so it was totally worth it. Number 8 was submitted by AaronOfAwesom. During lunch in 4th grade, Dolan's brother actually managed to sit next to his crush and her friends. They were doing Truth or Dare, and his crush thought he was playing since he's good friends with her best friend. Then she asked him, "Truth or Dare?" To seem like a man, Dolan's brother chose Dare. She giggled and told him to hump the teacher. To seem even more like a man, he went up to the teacher and just super humped her. It was so cringy, and when the teacher saw him, she was like, "What the fuck?" Now, that crush is his best friend. Number 7 was submitted by VTMat123. Well, this girl emoji told him to do something really weird in the bathroom. He really wanted to impress this girl, so the next day, he bought a cantaloupe and took it to the bathroom with him. Emoji started making grunting noises, and then dropped it from about 4 or 5 feet in the air and into the toilet. It made a giant splash, and the toilet water got all over the floor. She ended up going out with him. Number 6 was submitted by Unsung Hero 100. When Hellbent was in middle school, his crush wanted him to come to school naked. The next day, he went to school in nothing but his underwear. When he showed up, there were 2 cops in front of the door. Hellbent later got suspended for 2 weeks, and the girl never talked to him again, because he got in trouble. Number 5 was submitted by Azumanga Diofan 101. A long time ago, Spinal Palm had a crush on this girl, and one day, she invited him to her house to hang out. For a while, they just sat around and played video games until she said to him, "I hear you have a crush on me. Is that true?" He nodded, and she paused the game. She told him to follow her to her room, and when Spinal Palm got inside, he saw a snake that was about 6 feet long in a glass case. She pointed to the snake and said that its name was Sylvester, and told him that if he really had a crush on her, then he would let Sylvester slither all over him. Spinal Palm reluctantly accepted her challenge, and she got the snake out from the case. She put the snake on the floor, and it slithered towards him. It started to travel up his leg, and from that point on, he stood absolutely still, hoping that the snake wouldn't bite him. Her face lit up, and she gasped in awe. When the snake was done slithering all over him, she put it back in its cage and gave Spinal Palm a big kiss. Number 4 was submitted by ScorpionLover. When Danger Dolan was in 10th grade, him and his friends were at the computer doing their essays, until his crush came along and asked for help removing a spider. Dolan immediately ran to help her out and acted cocky about it. She thought he was so cool not to be afraid, even though he secretly has a bad case of arachnophobia. As they got into her classroom, he asked her,
Where is it?
She screamed, "Right there!" As Dolan looked to see where she was pointing, he saw a big, black, hairy spider jump into his face. He passed out to the floor, face first, and as he got back up, he was being cleaned up by the school nurse. He asked,
Oh, what happened?
She told him that he was out for about an hour and a half. Dolan was confused about what happened, and she told him that he might have hyperventilated and passed out. Luckily, He killed the spider with his face when he fell. He vomited everywhere, but luckily, his crush thought he was super cool for killing it, even though he fainted. Number 3 was submitted by AmbiLou22. One time when Shima was at school, her friends gave her some sweets, which always made her hyper. She was so hyper, she thought she was a tiger because she was reading a book about 2 girls becoming a tiger. So, Shima walked on her hands and knees and started to make tiger noises at everyone. Then, her ex saw her and pinned her arms to the floor. By now, her crush and a huge crowd were watching a boy pinning a girl. So Shima kicked him in the groin and slapped him to impress her crush. Unfortunately, he punched her in the gut, making her cry. Her crush stood up to her ex and made sure she was alright. A week later, her crush became her boyfriend, and her ex sits over on the other side of the classroom. Number 2 was submitted by Yellowtigerrobot. Tulip was in 5th grade when he thought a girl would think of him as manly if he were tolerant to pain. So, stupid idiot him decided to climb to the tallest point of the playground, then slipped. He fell all the way down the wood chips right in front of her. Tulip fought back tears and got up, brushed himself off, and walked away without saying a thing. No teacher saw him, but he was labeled a tough guy for the rest of his time at that school. That night, Tulip found 7 wood chips embedded in his thighs. It was really fucking painful. It was also a miracle that he didn't sprain his ankle. Suffice to say, he never dated that girl. And for number 1, I'm going to tell you guys about the weirdest thing I've ever done to impress a crush. Back in school, when I was studying hard, my crush was taking Japanese as an elective. I always thought the language was fascinating, but there was no chance in hell I thought I'd be able to learn it. He wasn't doing so well, so I decided, being the nerd that I am, to actually study it, learn it, and then teach it to him. Not only that, I thought it would be cute if I dressed up as a teacher. We ended up dating unofficially for a while, but definitely didn't lead anywhere. Huge thanks for all the folks over on our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on a date? Let us know on the Reddit page linked below, and you might be featured in a future countdown. Catch you guys next time.